Oh, there's a nice start. Cough. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's daily brief recap. Hack, wheeze, wheeze. I'm renewing my notary license on a weekly basis. If anybody knows that reference, hats off. Put a comment where that show's from. All right, anyway, good morning, everybody. We just had a nice baby powder report with Julian. Nice, good hour and a half conversation. Covered lots of different markets, stock market, broader stock market, commodities markets. Julian's super jazzed on the gold. And trading that lots these days, as well, of course, big report on crypto and RSI studies and Keltner channels and Tom DeMark indicators and stuff. So lots of great content for members this morning. Our little overview report, and actually Julian's working on a nice little 1-minute market summary video that he's going to try and bang out here for the YouTube audience over the next quarter or so. So that'd be really cool free content. Hopefully we can bring that to your guys' attention, because I think Julian does some solid work and actionable information that I think you can actually get some value out of in the public. So look forward to that down the road. As always with these free videos, I like to keep the conversation relatively limited. I mean, we could talk about 100 different things this morning, but we just like to give you sort of an overview of what we're sort of seeing in the market at the moment. Of course, we always start off with US dollar index. You can see the noticeable battle at 38.2s here recently. Still below trend lines. We had a bit of a rejection of this key level here over the past 3 or 4 days. Not really dramatic econs one direction or the other. If anything, we also had trade, sort of tentative first step trade deal agreement signed with China. And if anything now, we might see sort of political fireworks in sort of the absence of any key drivers economically, as the articles of impeachment are officially being sent to the Senate. So get ready for those fireworks. And also, too, we'll be coming into, actually, I'm not exactly positive when the official kickoff start date. We should probably, I'll have more firm start dates of earnings seasons and stuff like that for us to think about as well in the reports ahead. But long and short of it right now, we've got a bunch of wicks up top, shooting stars. Clearly there's a bunch of supply sitting up here that was more than happy to hit the market. Market came off yesterday, and we're enjoying a little bit of a counter trend rally today. I don't know whether there's been any key econs out this morning. We do, of course, have the huge January options expiry coming up tomorrow. So they often say that usually, especially around these big, this happens to be a leap contract expiry. Most of the business is actually done in the stock market the Thursday, the day before the expiry. And then Friday is actually a pretty quiet day. Econs you can see coming out here. Let's see where we are here. Thursday, I mean, relatively okay. Nothing, startling. Continuing jobless claims ticking down a little bit. And business inventory is off a little bit, which is actually a good sign because it means the economy is drawing down the inventories. Housing market relatively sideways from this particular report. So, nothing shocking news-wise. If anything, you actually are starting, and I'm starting to see this, some upticks in reports. The Philly Fed came out quite strong here today. So, as I said, nothing really shocking out of here. We had that relatively weak econ, that employment report there last week. So just sort of like, okay, business as usual, slow and steady wins a race. I think probably the big jump up in the stock market, and it's interesting, we were talking about this the other day, there is a massive call open interest at 3:30 on the S&P 500. The SPYs, I mean, to the tune of like 250,000 contracts. Just staggering number. Like if you did the math, that's like easily tens of millions, if not $100 million. So huge battle here. I'm not quite sure what Wall Street's incentive motivation is. There is a pretty big put open interest up in this area too. But I get the feeling that they just want to park the market right up in this level. I don't know whether they want this to expire in the money, those calls or not. But it should be really interesting supply-wise. If those calls do actually expire in the money, then it means all the people that bought those calls, they automatically just went and bought the stock market up top here. Maybe that might be a way for Wall Street to unload hundreds of millions of dollars worth of stock at the top of the market. It's an interesting tell that's going on here. Definitely keep an eye on that going forward. So, risk on, risk off. Is there an agenda here with the S&P 500? You see it sitting 330.06. So they've got it up at that level. Is that where they want to park it? Remember also, too, we're watching January barometer. Gee whiz, this stock market is going to be strong this year. This is just insane. I had kind of thought, middle of January would be sort of like May time period. We should see it backing off, but they went and gapped the stock market higher here this morning. So, wow. Very, very strong market. Maybe a little too strong. And, I'm certainly not calling tops here, but this is getting a little out of control here. All right, let's head on back. Risk on. The oil is actually calmed down. Like I said, stock market, are you getting a little bit too far down? I don't know. I do like the idea of oil bottoming here with a seasonal trade buy your own in the middle of February. And there are a couple oil names that I'm very interested in. I'm going to be watching for technical bottoms in those names over the next couple of weeks. Bond market's calming down a little bit. We're at this massive trendline apex level. We talked about wicks and tails needing to be eaten. So, was that basically that event right there, right up against trendline resistance? Brian, I've been bearish of bonds for a while. I still have my bond puts, but it's just frustrating. Just a big hurry up and do nothing. The gold market can't really touch this in this kind of environment, and oh boy, it would be nasty if gold had to do what oil just did. Could be completely realistic. You can see where the W's are, so be careful on the gold. And I think I even talked to you guys about this. I'm going to watch the behavior here, but Newmont here is actually telling me I need to pay attention for a top here. I might actually even entertain. I'm going to watch this through the day. You can see we made new highs this morning, rallied right up to the trend line. It was rejected. We might empire out here tomorrow or a nice inside bar. If that happens, I am definitely going to be hunting puts there. Because, if you look at Newmont, he has come an awfully long way. This is actually, this is my bread and butter setup. I hate to say it, guys, but it is. Newmont, look how far she's come. This reminds me of this kind of action in here, right up in here, and then that came afterward. I don't know how deep we have to go here, but if we do get a failure here, you can see we're way above value. This stock was upgraded a week or so ago. I guess it was the end of last week. So, has that fully played itself out? We look at things like Barrick. Let's keep an eye on the biggest gold stock in the world. There is that original key reversal, and I had sort of said the other day, same sort of thing as Newmont. If I did want to short this, where should I be concentrating? Things like reload zones. And you can see that's still got a little bit further to go up here. So I'm going to be watching Newmont as well, too. I love when the market sets these trades up. You notice MACD actually did M out here. And now, and I even drew this a few days ago, notice the counter trend rally. Do we get that kiss? And then the rolling back over. In essence, this is going to be a really interesting little trade. As I said, I think I've said this a couple times. I'm interested in hunting puts here, and I'm starting to get some information that tells me I should be really paying attention. So I'll keep an eye on that. And, of course, if I do anything, I'll report. You can see how just even off the 4 hour, we just created a massive doji right at that reload short zone. So there's my report on this sort of risk on, risk off. I am short bonds, and I actually do like the idea of hunting shorts on the gold, but let's see how that develops. Heading over to the stocks, what I really like about the stock market, and I think crypto to a certain degree, especially shitcoin indexes, stuff like that, I think this is very similar message. We're in a risk-on environment right now. Stock market, holy, is that a risk-on? Jesus H. Christ. So, we're seeing a lot of stocks popping here. We had just an absolute treat there the other day, and the damn thing's not done. Just absolute insanity here. So just, get out and enjoy this market. I mean, it's a fun stock market. I mean, hell, there's names that I was trying to buy there a week or two ago. I can't even get in. They're leaving me behind, the bastards. Anyway, I put tweets out to that effect last week. It's so frustrating when stocks leave you behind, and one just is doing that this morning. Drive you crazy. But the good part about it is it doesn't really, to me, this market isn't really contained to just, large cap, mid cap, small cap. I'm seeing breakouts all over the map. So at the moment, our technical analysis screening engine is only following the S&P 500 companies. We're going to slowly add more data as we build it out. So I've got it running off the big companies right now, and I think recently I was showing you guys the screener results off of stocks like iRobot. Beautiful. I mean, the signal came in last week. It's just marching its way higher. Beautiful W's and RSIs and OBVs. These calls, we looked at them in the daily brief today. They're sitting at about 7.5 right now, so they're already moved up about 30-40%. But that's an old signal, right? That's from a few days ago if you had bought it. Are there anything new? And so I happened to see this, I think it was VTR, was that it? Yeah, look at this. This screener here gives you a nice polite list in your email first thing this morning. CME Group, Pepsi. Interesting because we had Coca-Cola on the list the other day. It was breaking out, and so what a surprise, Pepsi is also breaking out. CME Group, big commodities house. And of course, everybody knows CME Bitcoin futures, right? Everybody's going to go buy their Bitcoin calls now, and CME's going to make a pile more money. But anyway, long and short of it here, great looking list. And it's just such an interesting anecdote. I mean, you can see you would have gotten this list in your email yesterday, right? So you want to just buy on the open. That's not a bad performance, up a nice 1.5%, breaking out at W's. And you can see where 50% rules are. So I like the fact that this stock market is not, and same thing with crypto. It's not just Bitcoin and Ethereum and Litecoin. I'm seeing, hell, we'll get to it. The shitcoin indexes are popping, right? Which means that all the crap is moving up too. So it just feels like the whole risk market is reflating itself. Quite cool. I don't know if this is the top in the stock market or risk. Gee whiz, January barometers. We should expect this to continue for another 2 weeks. I don't know. The market's going to do any old damn thing it wants. One thing I was reviewing with the site peeps, of course, are risk on, risk off. Interesting how the yen just keeps crapping out here. So it makes it tough for me to be too excited about gold. Oil's put in a little bit of a bottom here, so maybe it's going to try and play catch up. And of course, I've talked a little bit about, I kind of think that this move here in crypto is a little bit artificial. ICE, Cool Kelly Loeffler, backed exchange, all that stuff. And does Bitcoin have to, and the whole crypto market, does it have to play catch up here to catch back up with the rest of the risk market? I don't know. Well, the jury's still out. We'll see. Point of the matter here is you can see W's are firing right across the board. Take a look at these names. This is one of Kevin's, Annie, we've been following Annie for a long time. We've watched this thing for years on the site. But look at that triple bottom. Hell, that looks like a quadruple bottom there at about 83 cents. Full disclosure, I've got Kevin got in, jerk. I got my bid working, but I don't know. She might just leave me behind here. That would suck. Then there's E-Man. I've been talking to you guys about for a while. I eventually just stepped up and pulled the trigger and picked up a bit of the double bottom. I also have a bid to buy some more at these gaps, but looking at the way this market's acting, a lot of sort of waiting for the gap fills, reload zones, cheap-ass bids getting filled. They're just not getting filled. And then finally, there's VTR. I'm not quite sure exactly the option I'm going to hunt here. I just found this. Like I said, I was just told this one this morning. But I'm definitely going to be doing some research on a name like that. It's such a pretty chart. So, as I've said to you guys repeatedly, I'm not recommending. I'm not telling you to buy. I'm not, there's no incentive for me if you do participate in any of the stuff that I talk about. There's no incentive. This is just here, just telling you what I'm doing with my money. And, of course, you guys know I love them W's. Heading on over to crypto specific now. And there are a bunch of crypto stocks that I'm playing that have W's and stuff working, but talked lots about them recently. Looking at crypto specifically, we'll start, of course, with the old corn. I think you can make the argument that things like fractal, head and shoulder price objectives were hit here. I don't see anything wrong with that logic at all. I think you can actually make the argument, we've talked about this in recent public videos and also on this show. Number one, I don't really like how steep this trend line is. Like really good looking bottoms. Usually these lows, they come down and they make nice W's. And you look back over time and you're like, wow, that's such a pretty W. Right? If we look at last year's, right? Look at how pretty and wide the bottom was, right? And it took some time to develop. You had your jump off the bottom and then a nice serious test and a W against the lows. This is like Adam and Eve kind of setups. I mean, that's what I'd really like to see to sort of mark the bottom. And ideally what I would actually like to see right now, believe it or not, is actually just a nice Wyckoff check. Maybe, I'm kind of thinking that the stock market will have to take a bit of a pause there in sort of February, March. Who knows? Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But, if we got like this nice low, then a nice rally, then a nice test, right? And it makes this big, beautiful W down the road. That's what I'd ideally like to see. So in a weird sort of way, I really wouldn't have a problem. There's interesting how you can see 61.8, good old mountain man level. Seems to have stopped the bull in the short term. And my hunch is 61.8 on the downside will be support. And it'll probably be like against this little Wyckovian check that we did last weekend. That wouldn't surprise me at all. I think also, too, we showed you that looking for Bitcoin to moon here, I don't know how realistic that was. Remember on these weekly charts, 200 SMA sitting right up top there. They said that's a daily chart. So 200 SMA, if we change that to a weekly chart, that's like the 30 SMA sitting right there. I mean, that's a lot of resistance, everybody. Please understand that. Same thing on Ethereum. You can see 200 SMA on the daily chart is sitting up there at about 183. And then if we go up to the weekly, 30 SMA sitting there, 186. So same sort of thing. Very, very stiff resistance up top. And Litecoin, same thing. Daily charts, 200 SMA sitting 65. And right now, the weekly 30 SMA sitting... what's that number? About 66 or so basically in that area. So I can't be like, guys, this is a rip roaring bull market. Away we go. In fact, we go back and we look at that bigger picture kind of image. Where the hell is it? Here, right? I mean, technically, we're still red. And the big message that we said on the site today is, for God's sakes, do not chase. You're not allowed to chase. What I see here is basically the market has rallied into moving average resistance. Which is fine. I mean, look at Tron here. It literally went right up, kissed the 30 SMA on the weekly, and just got rejected back down. That's very normal. If anything, the abnormal one here, I think, was Dash. That was one hell of a rally. And he just blew right through his moving average. That's the exception, not the norm. But that does happen. In fact, there was a cute little altcoin that I've been touting to the public for a while, this rep. I mean, look at that. Beautiful turn. So this is kind of like what I was saying to you guys earlier, that this is kind of, a trader's going to come in, he's going to buy against the bottom end of ranges. But we actually have to get the moving averages to turn up to actually say this is officially a bullish market and the trend is up. Sometimes the price action has to look like this. That's the exception though. That's not usually the norm. So, if we look at this sort of 8-chart matrix, you can see that most of them bang right into moving average resistance, then fight a bit, bang into moving average resistance. Looks like ZRX is trying to blast through here. Zcash, wow, look at that cute little W that came in, banging up into resistance here. So I definitely don't like the idea of anybody chasing these up markets. That's dangerous. But hunt for the W's and look for the names that are still, fractaling out here down at the bottom. Understand, if you are buying assets that have moved to new lows, the trend is still down. But, like I said, somebody on the site pointed out, well, Brian, yeah, I appreciate that the weekly trend was down here. I saw this little fractal, and then I drilled into the daily charts, and I went, gee whiz, Brian, that looks like a W. I'm going to go buy that W, and I'm going to risk that W. And, I mean, what can you say? Hats off. What a fucking kick-ass trade, eh? I mean, please, you guys are watching these free videos because you want to learn how to do this. Hunt these goddamn W's. I mean, this is just insane. Maybe the trade doesn't work. You have to take a punch in the nose, that amount of risk. Look what happens when the trade does work. Holy shit, you know what? So, that's, if you're going to take anything away from me, it's hunt these GDWs. They're pretty solid stuff. And then I guess just to finish off today's video, I'm already sort of talking a bit about altcoins, but, probably a good idea to remind everybody that, you better have, number one, hunt those W's. This happens to be Augur, that rep, right? Hopefully everybody can see the W's, and then for heaven's sakes, when the market pays you, you better make darn sure to get paid. This thing just doubled. Everybody should be sitting on a free position right now. At the very least, sell half on a double. Get yourself a risk-free trade for the rest of your life. But that's what kind of market that we're in right now. Did Bitcoin just double overnight? No. This guy did. So, this is this whole point of what I said earlier. Is I believe that this is a coin picker's market. Get out there and have some fun. Buy when it snows, sell when it goes. You see the logic here. And then finally, really, I think that this market is this coin pickers, altcoin kind of market until these, shit indexes. That's hilarious just to even say. As long as they're printing higher highs and higher lows, I'm not really in a big hurry to call a top in the shit coins. Just get out there and have some fun. And like I said, even I just noticed, and I did this through the video here today, there are actually a couple names that are just breaking out even as we speak. Doge sure looks interesting in there. Yeah, there's NEM. Look at that one. Right down in there. So get in there, hunt them W's. So. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed the presentation. Kind of a weird presentation today, but hopefully I've given you some good actionable information. We should probably go back here. So have yourselves a great day. New school term has started, so oh boy, here we go. School's rocking. And the great part about it is all these new students have all put themselves into a position that by the time March, April rolls around, they're just going to be in a perfect position to run trading plans to take advantage of the seasonal window here. Buy when it snows, sell when it goes. You know the story. All right, have yourselves a great day. All the best, and bye for now.